to say something? Okay. Now going towards the first lab task, remember one thing. This is a C++ lab. Okay. And the reason that we are doing it remotely, I mean online, is that this is a lab that can be done anywhere. Why? Because we are doing it on a software which we can easily have access to. So we can perform this lab even from our homes. So your output should be very good in this lab. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपकी लैब ना हो और आप कहे कि भाई हमने तो ऑनलाइन की है. And in my personal opinion, we can do it more better online. Why? Because when we do it in computer lab, you have seen that there are many computers in computer lab, and at least you guys are 40 in strength, and we have maximum 2 hours in our computer lab. So when you guys are all sitting there and performing the lab tasks, then I cannot go to each and every student, although I try my best, but most of you are left out. So here you all can see it. Now when we are performing the lab, the rule is that I give you all a task, take it to write a program which does this and that, and you guys perform it, and then you guys show it to me. Now the problem here is that I cannot see your computers here, or even if I'm going to ask you guys to send me pictures, that would take a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is I will just demonstrate the lab here. Okay. I expect you guys to switch on your laptops or your computers and uh, try to perform the experiments along with me. So that will make the things very easier for you. Another thing, you cannot do this lab without a computer or your laptop. Mobile mobile is not helpful here. Some students do download an app that that is for C++ experiments, but that app isn't that much good. So my personal opinion will be that please use a computer or a laptop. And I'm sure that there is no one who does not have a computer at his home. Even if you guys are unable to I mean अगर आप में से किसी के पास computer नहीं है, they can come to university, but university is closed for a few days. But after a few days, university will open. University will be open, so the labs will be open. I mean, you can do that if there is a. I mean, अगर किसी के पास बिल्कुल भी computer ना हो तब वो university आ सकता है. But I'm not sure if UT administration allows it or not. Okay. Before going to our first lab task, first of all, I'm going to tell you about a software, or we call it IDE. IDE का मतलब है Integrated Development Environment. This is the environment or a platform where we are going to learn C++. Why? Because if you are learning C++, you need something, some compiler. And from your first semester, I hope that you understand what is a compiler. Okay. इसका मतलब ये है कि देखिए, अगर हम एक लैंग्वेज सीख रहे हैं, तो ये तो इंसानों की जुबान नहीं है. दिस इज द लैंग्वेज ऑफ कंप्यूटर्स. सो इन ऑर्डर टू लर्न अ लैंग्वेज, आपको पता है कि जब आप फर्स्ट करें, फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर गोइंग टू लर्न इंग्लिश, which is not a computer language, but let's suppose in order to learn English, first you write English in a notebook. कोई notebook की जरूरत पड़ती है, and then you do practice on that notebook. For example, you are writing ABC. You do need a notebook for that. So similarly, when we are learning C++, you can consider this IDE as your notebook. But it is not like a notebook. Why? Because here this notebook is very smart. It is going to tell you कि आपने गलती कहाँ की, what mistakes have you done. So this is a kind of a, we can say, a advanced notebook. But your IDE is the one where you are going to learn C++ for your practice. Now, remember one thing, before last year we were doing dev C++. Our IDE was dev C++, the software. And using dev C++ is very easy. But as we see that with the passage of time, things are changing, and people are using another software which is called code blocks. So we have also switched to code blocks this semester. There is no such reason, but the reason is that it's kind of an advanced thing and everybody prefers to use code blocks. Okay, so we want you guys to use a software uh, that is used more. So first of all, in order to start the C++ lab, you need that software. You look at the first slide. Okay. Okay. By the way, my name is Hena Zahir, and I'm from electrical department. Okay. This is the book that we are going to be. This is actually a theory book, but we are also going to use this book for our lab. I have a soft form version of the book as well if you guys are unable to find it, although it is available on the internet, how to program by detail. And you can use any edition. It's actually that the edition which I have is 7th edition. And as this is actually an online lab, so I would be giving you assignments and quizzes as well because I cannot see your performance from here. So assignments and quizzes would be given. Okay, now this is the software about which I was talking. We need a software to perform our C++ experiments. So what you guys are going to do is you guys are going to copy this link up till download. You're going to copy it and paste it in your browser, in your Google browser or whatever browser. And you would directly go to the download of code blocks. It's a free software. So your code blocks will be downloaded and it is very easy to install. You just do next, 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 and at the end finish. So your code blocks will be downloaded. Even if still there is a problem, I would again demonstrate the download, but it is quite easy. So once when you download your code blocks, this is how it will look like. You will open it. This is how it will look. It's like your platform where you are going to learn code C++. Now this is a bit more complex than dev C++ because dev C++ is used only for C++, but code blocks is used for C++ as well as C and another language called as Fortran. See, here it is written Fortran. But the more you use code blocks, the easier it will become. Now, first of all, here you can see there's a create a new project. Don't go here. It will only confuse you guys. First of all, come here, file, okay, and say new, empty file. So an empty file is open. Now remember, when we write anything in MS Word, first we perform everything and then we save it. Here the thing is opposite. Before doing anything, you have to save it. This is the first step. So if you see, this is untitled one. So we are going to save it now. So you know how it's, even you can understand it from here. So let's save it. Save. Now it is asking us for the name. Let's say section C. Okay. Dot. Now this is important part. When you are saving a file, because this software is not only for C++, it is for C as well as Fortran. So it does not know that what files you are using. So you are going to tell this IDE that I want to work on C++. So you are going to write the name of the file, which whatever name you want to give, and .cpp. Okay, you have to tell the this software that this is your lab names. Section C dot cpp is the name of your file. Now when you wrote .cpp, now this compiler will know that you are actually going to work in C++ and save it. That's it. Okay, I believe that आपको क्लास में मैडम ने हैश इंक्लूड आईस्ट्रीम वगैरह तो कराया होगा ना?
Yes, ma'am, correct.
अच्छा, ठीक है. So we know that whenever we are going to write any C++ program, the first line should be hash include iostream. This means that up you are asking, so look at this. You are asking the compiler that I actually need the input output stream. Now this is something that is used in each and every C++ lab. ठीक है, आप इसको ऐसा समझ ले कि जब आप कोई एप्लीकेशन लिखते हैं अपनी आसानी के लिए, when you are writing an application to your chairman or to your coordinator, so you always write to the chairman to the coordinator. Okay, you always write that thing. So this is also like that. Whenever you are going to write a C++ program, these first three lines will always be there. Okay, these are some commands which we are giving to the compiler. हम compiler को जब भी हम program लिखें, we are giving him this command. Please do this before starting the program. If you do not write IOStream, this compiler is not smart enough to understand that, oh, actually you are asking for IOStream. So this is actually the first basic command. You are asking the compiler that I'm going to do something with input and output, and this is now the next command, and I'm going to use standard names. Standard names mean there are many standard names, there are many reserved words in this compiler C++ language. So you are telling the compiler I'm going to use all them. It's like this. For example, if you look at English language, so English language has many reserved words. They are used in English language, they are reserved for English language. So similarly, there are many words that this language C++ has reserved for itself. And your duty is to understand what words they are and to know that what their function is. Okay, so there are many reserved words for this language. So using namespace, std, these are the reserved words. Now another thing, let's say using and namespace. आप यहाँ से space हटा दें, does this become one word? It does not understand it और इसका color भी change हो गया. So you, अच्छा, now if you give it 2 or 3 spaces, it really doesn't care, because it will always give consider the space as white space. But if you do not give it any space, then it gets confused and it thinks that this is one word. So it will definitely give you an error. The third is main. Int means the return type and main is the name of the function. So by writing int main, we are actually saying that every program has at least one function. I mean, you are going to write many functions in one program, but if you are not going to write any function, there must be main function. Just like आप इसको ऐसे भी कह सकते हैं कि जब आप कभी भी कोई एप्लीकेशन लिखते हैं तो उसमें एक, let's say you are writing an application and you are asking for many things, or many मतलब you are asking for 2 to 3 things, but if you are not asking for 2 to 3 things, at least you are asking for one thing. एक चीज के लिए आप जरूर बात करेंगे एप्लीकेशन में. So this is kind of that. If this program does not have 2 to 3 functions, but it must have one function, that is main. Okay. And if you are going to write any other functions, then they would be written outside main. Inshallah, we will, I think, see it in fifth or sixth lab. But that will go on along with the theory. So once you understand theory, then we will perform like another thing. No matter how much you understand theory, आप theory के एक एक चीज को समझ ले, but remember, everything comes to performance. And your C++ is something different. When you जब आप paper देंगे, so nobody asks you about theory. Your paper will all be programs. I don't know how madam gives you program, magar before madam, this is how it used to be, that the teacher gives programs to the students that make a program that does this and that. So no matter how much knowledge you have theoretically about C++, you can only be better in it when you practice more. If you look at a language, for example, let's say you want to learn Urdu. So the more you speak in Urdu, the more you read about Urdu, the more you learn it. Similarly, when you want to learn C++, you have to practice more. And of course, the practice comes with writing more and more programs in this compiler. Okay. Now let's look at our lab number 1. Lab task 1 is write a program that displays hello world. This is a very, look at this lab task. Write a program that displays hello world, nothing else. So we are going to write a program that has to display hello world. Okay. Now remember, we must know that what is used to display something. Okay. So the reserved word in C++ to display something is called cout. This is a reserved word which is used by C++. If you look at another language, C, so before C++, C used the word printf. Printf for displaying something, but C++ is more higher than it and it has more advanced features. ठीक है, तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि आउटपुट यानी कि किसी चीज को डिस्प्ले करने के लिए सी प्लस क्या यूज करता है। तो सी प्लस प्लस डिस्प्ले के लिए एक वर्ड यूज करता है सी आउट, ये एक कमांड है। बट देर इज अ फॉर्मेट टू इट। कैसे? यू कैन नॉट जस्ट राइट सी आउट एंड देन डिस्प्ले, you have to write these two signs which we use in maths for less than. Okay, this is kind of the less than operator. But here we are going to write it two times. Now, when you write this two times, this is now the command for displaying something or something to go in the output. Now, we do not need anything else in the output. We are just going to display a statement, which is hello world in the output. In order to display a statement, again, you have to look at the rules of C++. That C++ में एक statement को display करने की क्या rule है? Yes, that is the rule. You have to write that statement inside inverted commas, double commas, double commas. Okay, so I will write whatever you want to write would be displayed as it is, and you have to close the commas. But now this is again another rule of C++ that you cannot just leave it here. You have to end every sentence with a semicolon. Now somewhere you are going to use semicolon and somewhere you are not going to use semicolon. For example, here after IOStream you are not going to use a semicolon. After namespace std, yes, you are going to use semicolon. After main, you are not going to use semicolon. So definitely that does confuse a guy, student के हम लोग कहाँ पे सेमीकोलन यूज करेंगे, कहाँ पे नहीं. This will come with the practice. Because this is something this language has made. इस जबान के ये अपने कानून है. If you look at another language, Python, so Python does not have these rules. Python does not have semicolons. Okay, so this is decided by the guys who are making this language. Our job is to understand those rules. उनका क्या rule है? If I do not write this semicolon, then definitely I am violating the rule of this language. So this language will not give me my required output. So with the passage of time and with more practice, you understand that what rules are there. Another thing, being a student of communication, you must understand that you are never going to get rid of language. And once you understand one language, then it will be easy for you guys to understand other languages. So being a communication में language is very much important. So you cannot deny its importance here. Okay. Even in even languages nowadays used in power as well. ठीक है, so ये इतनी important चीज है कि I saw a statement by a scientist who said that in the coming years, machine learning, which is actually you make the machines learn, is going to be the new electricity. जैसे कि आजकल बिजली के बगैर गुजारा नहीं है. In the coming years, nobody is going to मतलब कोई भी चीज मशीन लर्निंग के बगैर काम नहीं करेगी. So it means everything is going to be programmed. If you look around yourself, with the passage of time, everything is becoming computerized. The first example is banking. मतलब आप लोग तो पढ़े लिखे हैं, but before you guys, if you see that everybody was holding a check and standing outside the bank, but with the passage of time, the banking has become computerized. So you just do everything online. You send the credit online and you do everything online. So who are sitting behind those online things? Every bank has an entire IT department, and those guys are nothing but they are actually programmers who are actually performing the entire online process thing. So banking is kind of going to completely revolutionize. Even in India, there was a bank which stopped because वो इतना ज्यादा scientific हो गया that उनको फिर ये cashiers की और ये जो बाहर बैठे होते हैं इनकी जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. Even if you look at the history, there was a, I don't know if you guys know, but there is a thing called CA, Chartered Accountant, which was considered a very huge thing. And people were like, oh, once you get admission in Chartered Accountancy, CA, आप बाहर नहीं निकल सकते इससे, बहुत मुश्किल चीज है. और CA used to get 15 to 20 lakh rupees salary. So chartered accountancy was something of huge and a very huge thing, and people were like so impressed. It is such a big job, and it is even better than doctor and engineer. But when software engineering came, it just literally threw chartered accountancy. How? Because the software engineers, whatever that chartered accountant was doing, यानी कि जो कि वो मैनुअल काम करता था फाइल्स वगैरह का और एक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट जारी करता था, that's what now the software engineers do with the help of a software. So they don't even need a chartered accountant anymore. which who can perform all these calculations for him. Now these calculations can easily be performed by any software, even the ones that are available, and even the ones which we can make ourselves on order. So the best example is chartered accountancy. That post was a very high post, and because of the programming and software it has become zero nowadays. If you look at a chartered accountant, अब उसकी बिल्कुल आम तनख्वाह होती है. Now this is all because of the programming. Okay, so now our program says that we have to display hello world. Now this is done, our program is done. There is another statement, return zero. Return zero का मसला ऐसे जैसे कि at the when you are writing an application और आखिर में आप लिखते हैं yours obediently. अब that is actually a requirement for application, लेकिन अगर आप yours obediently ना लिखो और नीचे सिर्फ अपना नाम लिख दे तो भी the person would know that yeah, this is you. Okay, but if you write it then it's a good practice. So return zero is kind of a statement which is actually telling you कि yes, the program run fine. ठीक है, so अगर आप ये ना भी लिखे the program won't have any effect, it will still run properly. Now our program is finished. Okay, in order to see okay, what does it एक program को हम run करते हैं, but before running it we must ask the compiler that check it, okay, is our program fine. So in order to check our program we have to look at this yellow mark here, it is written build. So click on it, build. Now see here at the bottom, build file, no project, build finish, zero errors, zero warning. ठीक है, this is the time कि इतने time में ये हो गया. Now okay, our build is done. If there is some error in the program then here it will be marked this much error, and this is such a smart compiler or any other compiler, it will also go towards the line and tell you that you have done mistake in this line. Now we have to run the program. So run is in this green line, you say run. Okay, see we run the program, a window appeared, and see what is written at the top, hello world. Okay, now hello world is not the only thing. For example, I am asking you to display hello world. Okay, this is the first class of C++. Okay, let's say I want the compiler to display this thing, and I want it to display it in 2 lines. Okay, so you must understand that how are we going to display something in 2 lines. Now there are many ways. Way number one, inside this stream, let's say I want you to display 2 lines. Okay, so what you guys are going to do inside the stream, this is method number one. There is an escape sequence \n, which is actually telling the compiler, when the compiler comes here in the inverted commas, he say, oh yeah, we have, when it comes across \n, this is a command to the compiler, go to the next line. So when it comes here, it will go to the next line in display, and whatever you write here would be display. So only by writing \n inside our statement will go to the next line. Let's see here. Now when you are checking it again, you have to build it again. अगर आपने ये run दबाया तो ये वही पुराना वाला display करेगा. See hello world. So in order to add the changes, you have to again build and run it. So ये भी आप कर सकते हैं. Hello world, look the next line. देखिए. Hello world, and then it went to the next line. This is C++ class. Okay. This is method number one, in which we can have multiple. Let's say I ask you, no, not 1 line, go to 2 lines or 3 lines. Okay, so \n, another \n, sorry, \n, another. अच्छा, some students कभी कभी गलती से ये दूसरा वाला ये वाला बैकस्लैश भी करते हैं. So इसमें make sure करें ये वाला \n हो. Slash की जो direction है, this also makes some students confused. Now it is going to give me 3 spaces. Sorry, 3 line distance. See, there's a bit more difference now. 1, 2, 3, तकरीबन 3 lines. Okay, this is method number one. Okay, now there is another command like \, for example, that is called \t. This command is going to add a tab. Okay, \t. Let's see. hello world. Now काफी फासला है. This is C++ था. Backslash t is going to add a tab, kind of a distance, wherever you put it. आपने यहाँ पे लगा लिया तो इधर distance देगा, इधर लगा कहीं पे भी लगा लिया, it will give you the distance wherever you put the backslash t. But remember, backslash and backslash t, whatever the backslash are, would be inserted inside these. ये दो commas के अंदर लगेंगे. If you put this backslash and outside these two commas, then it will give you an error. Now definitely question comes, why? This is because this is a rule of C++. Right now you are not going to say why, you are going to learn. इस वक्त आप ये नहीं कहेंगे कि हम ये क्यों करते हैं, ये ऐसा क्यों नहीं. नो, दिस इज द टाइम दैट यू हैव टू लर्न. अच्छा, हमने इसके लिए अब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल द क्वेश्चन कम्स, व्हाई आर वी यूजिंग सी आउट, व्हाई डज डोंट वी से आउट or anything. So this is a rule, this is a language that is made by people and you have to follow the rules. Okay. Remember, backslash t and backslash n are used inside the commas. There is another command which is actually not required, but it's kind of a beep command. So you can also use it, backslash a. When you use this command, it kind of gives you a beep. Okay? ये आवाज इसने दे दी आपको, तो ये इतना ज्यादा यूज नहीं होता, backslash a. Now, I told you that in order to go to next line, there is one way, but there is another way. How? Sorry. You close this here, and then again this insertion extraction operator, then sorry, insertion operator, and then again comma, but let's say here dl, okay, semicolon. This is also a method. Cout hello world end line. End line is a command which you give C++ as well. So this command is also telling the compiler to go to the next line, but this command is going to be given outside these commas. ठीक है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं करना जस्ट कॉमे के बाद एंड लाइन. नो, ये लेस देन का निशान लगाना है and then end line लगाना है. So this is also a command which will make it go to the next line. But here you are going to write cout again. So in this way, the second method, okay, hello world, this is C++. Okay, here you also understand that how you are going to display multiple statements. Okay, this is one statement, this is another statement. There is another method as well. For example, चलिए वो बाद में करेंगे, ठीक है. So you can, let's say you want to display something else and write another C or another. But in my personal opinion, the best way is to use the backslash n. Why? Because backslash n is kind of saving you time, and you are going to do everything in one line. But again, it depends upon you guys if you want to use many cout statements. Okay. So this is our first lab task. Okay, now let's look at the. Acha. Another thing is that as you guys have not studied about the variables, तो मैं आप लोगों को वेरिएबल वाली लैब तब भी करा सकती हूँ जब आप लोग वो थ्योरी में सीख ले. मैं भी कराऊंगी भी, लेकिन आपको इतनी समझ नहीं की, बिकॉज थ्योरी इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर इट, not to understand the variables. ठीक है. So our second lab, ये these are all इन स्लाइड्स में सारे इनके बारे में बात की कि what is hash include किस लिए यूज होता है, whatever I told you guys. अच्छा, okay, another thing, comments. For example, this is a huge program and I asked you guys इसमें comments भी शामिल के लिए. अब ये दूसरा वाला backslash n है. यहाँ पे when you write this backslash n, the program will whatever you write, this is for output or whatever you write. ठीक है. The compiler would know कि जब आपने दो backslash लगा लिए, oh, this is something for the user, this is for the programmer. So compiler completely ignores them. Compiler doesn't care because it knows that this is, it does not get anything. So it will know that these are actually the notes for the programmer, because when you look at the program, this is a very simple program. But for example, it's a huge program of hundreds pages, then definitely programmer does write notes for himself. Okay, this function is for that and this is for that. And also if some other person wants to check the program, then he would also easily understand that what is this function doing in that. So these are kind of the programmer's notes. Another thing, even for example, I am teaching you guys right now, and for some time I want to disable this C out, and then I want this again. अब इसका तरीका तो ये है कि मैं इसको एक बार मिटा दूं, फिर दोबारा इसको लिखूं, then definitely it will be difficult कि मैं एक बार इसको मिटाऊंगी और फिर लिखूंगी. तो मैं क्या करूंगी, I can also do like this. Now when I am doing this, the compiler ignores it because he thinks these are some comments. Okay, so run this program. Now it will only display hello world. Now, oh yeah, now I need them again. So just remove this. Okay, so it's like this. So backslash, yeah, double backslashes can also be used for that purpose as well, for learning purpose. Okay, if you want to check it for different things. And here it's written all statement must end with a semicolon. These are the sequences backslash and backslash. Now backslash r is not used that much, so इसको ना करें. Double backslashes are used for अच्छा एक बात और. Actually I downloaded this table from the internet, so you can see that the I don't know, I haven't checked it कि ये जो backslash n है ये सही वाला है, लेकिन this is actually the opposite one. ठीक है, they are not the same. You can see it here. ये backslash n है, ठीक है, backslash n ये वाला, लेकिन this is the quotation, this is for the comment, so you can see that their slashes are in the opposite direction, so they are in the opposite direction. ठीक है, ये बात याद रखिए, and it will come with practice कि ये कीबोर्ड पर कौन सा है. This backslash is actually near the backspace के नीचे है ये, and this one is actually near the इंटर, जहाँ पे इंटर है उसके साथ की, जहाँ पे लेस देन और ग्रेटर देन का निशान है, ये बैक स्लैश उधर है. तो आप लोगों, यू आर डूइंग प्रैक्टिस, यू वुड सी दिस वेयर दे lie on the keyboard. So these are actually in opposite direction, but here I think this table was not correct. Okay, now the second task is about adding two numbers together. Now, if I asked you guys in normal maths that add two numbers together, it is such an easy thing. Even it's very easy in programming as well. But in order to add two numbers in programming, you first have to store those two numbers and then you have to add them and display them. Now, adding them and displaying them, you can do that because you already know that how we are going to display something. But where are you going to store them? तो उसके लिए you need the knowledge of variables. अब हम लोगों के तो 4 labs है, but I cannot go further because of the variable. Let me tell you briefly about variables, which will be beneficial for you guys. जब आपको टीचर कराएगी तो आपको और भी आसान हो जाएगा. When we are writing a program, ठीक है, this is only display. ठीक है, we do not need to save something, we do not need any space. You are just asking the compiler कि ये display कर दे. But once when we are performing some calculations or anything or displaying data and storing data, we need some space inside the memory of the computer. In order to do that, we need a variable. What is a variable? अब हमारी जुबान में जब when we look at our language, हम लोग variable कहाँ use करते थे? अलजेब्रा वगैरह में x is equal to ये होता था. But in the language of C++, variable is a space. एक जगह है जो आप कंप्यूटर से मांग रहे हैं, C++ से मांग रहे हैं, या अपने लिए मुख्तस मतलब अपने लिए allocate कर रहे हैं. But as a C++ is a high level language, तो इसने आपकी it has made everything easier for you. कैसे? There are many type of variables. ठीक है, there is a type of, यानी कि variable is nothing but a memory space. ठीक है, but the C++ is actually dividing that space for you. For example, you are going to perform some calculations. You need a space where you can store the digits. ठीक है, maths वाली space आपको चाहिए 1 2 3 और, so yes, in order to perform those applications, you need a space that can store the integer data. तो उसके लिए when you ask the compiler for the integer data, then you are going to ask it int. Int is a reserved word, जो कि compiler, that is used by the compiler when you are asking it for a integer space. But not only int, you are going to name that space for yourself. Let's say I want to name it a semicolon. Now in this statement, what I have done is that I have asked the compiler for a space. मैंने उसे कहा मुझे एक खाली जगह दो, and that space should is going to be used for integer data. इंटीजर मीन्स के इसमें पॉइंट्स वगैरह ना यूज होंगे, पॉइंट वन पॉइंट टू ना हो, सिर्फ इंटीजर्स होंगी. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल if I want to store 2.5 here, 2.5 won't be stored, 2 would be stored here, so it will ignore the 0.5 thing, and the compiler will give the name a to that space. तो एक किस्म आपका अपने लिए मेमोरी में एक बॉक्स है, उस बॉक्स का नाम a है, और उस बॉक्स में आप सिर्फ इंटीजर टाइप डेटा स्टोर कर सकते हैं. Now, why do we need these things? You would see, we really need these things. We need variables in order to perform our processes. जितनी भी हमने लैंग्वेज की प्रोसेसेस करनी है, उस सब के लिए हमें वेरिएबल्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी. ठीक है. नाउ आई हैव स्टोर्ड दिस वन सेंटेंस सेज, मैंने कंपाइलर से एक जगह ले ली है विच इज ए, एंड दैट प्लेस कैन ओनली स्टोर इंटीजर टाइप ऑफ डाटा. अब वो डाटा कैसे स्टोर करेगा, दैट इज अपॉन मी. I am sending the data there. I am asking the user to send the data there, whatever. Now, okay, I have made a place. Now I want to store some data there. So I can write, say, a is equal to 10. What happened here? Here, as I have already declared a place called a, now the compiler knows that what is a. A is a place जो कि इस user ने अपने लिए रखा है. Now I'm asking in the second line, compiler के जी उस जगह में 10 डाल दो. Now remember, is equal to is not like our equal to here in C++. हमारा तो equal तो का मतलब होता है कि अच्छा ये इसके बराबर हो गया. ठीक है. No, in C++ is equal to is called assignment operator. Assignment का मतलब क्या है? There is a very smart teacher on C++ online, and उसने इसकी बहुत जबरदस्त एग्जांपल दी थी. He's a very old guy now. When we were students, मैंने इसको सुना था. He said that A is kind of a container. ठीक है. इस वक्त A की मिसाल एक खाली बाल्टी की तरह है. And when you say A is equal to 10, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपने इस बाल्टी में 10 डाल दिया है. It's like this. So you are kind of putting the value of 10 inside A. It's not like you are saying that A बराबर है 10 के in the language of C++. No, you are saying A में 10 की वैल्यू डाल दो. So it's like sequence. जो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड है उसमें वैल्यू जाएगी. So 10 goes to A. 10 goes to A because the left hand side will get the value of 10. Now let's say above, if you want to display it, seriously, see out, just write A. There is no need to write it inside the commas because the commas are for displaying words. यहाँ पर आप लोग डायरेक्ट A डिस्प्ले करेंगे. ठीक है. सेमीकोलन. Our program is done now. It will display 10. See, it displayed 10. आपने क्या किया? आपने you declared a variable A, you put the value 10 inside the variable and then you displayed it. ठीक है. अच्छा. Now we only let's say we have a program जिसमें हमें points की जरूरत हो, तो points के लिए हमारे पास एक दूसरा टाइप है. एक तो integer है data type. There is another data type for which the word float is used. तो लेट्स से अब हम दोनों को ए नाम नहीं दे सकते क्यों? कंपाइलर विल कंफ्यूज. कंपाइलर कहेगा अच्छा ए तो एक जगह है जो कि which you need for integer but a is another place for float. No, you are going to give it different names. So now float means ke I can store the point values here. So let's say I want to put 10.25 here with a semicolon. Remember, now I'm not only displaying a but I am also going to display b. अगर एक लाइन में डिस्प्ले करूंगी then it will cause confusion. So let's display it in two lines. Now first A will be displayed, then it will go to the next line and then it will display B. A is 10 and B is 10.25. So that's why for B we have another data type. Why? Because A is integer type and it cannot have points. B is actually a float type, so it can have points. ठीक है. तो पहले 10 किया, अब 10.25 किया. अब इसकी एग्जांपल देखिए. लेट्स से मैं ए में भी पॉइंट डाल दूं तो ये पॉइंट्स को इग्नोर कर देगा और आपको सिर्फ 10 देगा. ठीक है. मैंने ए में भी 0.25 डाल दिया जस्ट टू सी दैट इंटीजर डज नॉट वर्क विद पॉइंट्स. आप डाल दे लेकिन वो उसको इग्नोर करेगा 10. सो द इंटीजर कैन नॉट स्टोर पॉइंट्स, इट कैन ओनली स्टोर होल नंबर्स. ठीक है. यानी कि नॉट विद द नंबर विद पॉइंट्स. I hope आपको थोड़ा बहुत वेरिएबल समझ आ गया होगा. You would understand it more better when you go through it in the theory class, but apna
Yes,
mic
ma'am.
band hai. But for now, understand that variables are nothing but memory spaces which you need for your use. For example, let's say, okay, this is the last thing. आपने एक you defined a variable a. Now you want the user to put value in it. Okay, so you ask the user insert in a. Okay, ये user, this is the command which the user will get, and let's say end line. Now this message will be displayed to the user, but nothing else. Insert a value in a, but nothing else. Why? Because you haven't asked the compiler कि यूजर्स, आपने कंपाइलर से ये तो कह दिया कि यूजर से ए मांगो, मगर आपने कंपाइलर को ये नहीं कहा कि ए कहाँ डालो. So this is another statement called C in, just like C out. So C in has these opposite means, and so when you write C in, you are actually asking, you are telling the compiler कि first C out में वो value मांगेगा और दूसरे C out में. This is now what happening here is that you declared a variable a, you ask the user to put a value in a, you are telling the compiler to put the value of the user in a. Now when the compiler sees C in, then it will ask, it will wait there. See here. Insert a value. See, it is waiting here. Let's say I insert 10. Now nothing happens. Why? Because you haven't asked it anything to do. तो ये तो वही करेगा, वो जो आप इसको कहेंगे. So now I'm asking him, okay, अच्छा, when user gives you the value, okay, do something else. What should you do? Display that value. Okay, okay. Now it will display that value. Why? Because you have asked it. And remember, when you are displaying variable, you are not going to use the commas. No. Insert a value in a. Okay, and let's say I insert 20. Now it should display 20. See, it displayed 20. Okay. So it will only do whatever you ask the compiler to do. If you do not ask it anything, then it won't do anything. So जो हमारा first program है, that is like this: insert a value in a, the second lab task. ठीक है? Insert a value in b, and 9. And now I'm telling the compiler to put that value in b, but oh, I haven't even declared a variable b. So I can declare a variable b by putting comma here and b. Now I have two spaces. Both are integer type. One is named a, the other is named b. The user will give me two values. First, it will give me a, I will put it in a. Then it will give me b, I will put it in b. And okay, now I'm asking the user for something else, the compiler. And now I'm telling the compiler when the value a comes and the value b comes, तो क्या करो? Yes, उनको प्लस कर दो. ठीक है? तो उनको प्लस करने के बहुत तरीके हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, उनको आखिर में ही प्लस कर दो, यानी कि जस्ट प्लस देम हियर. और a better programming practice will be, उनको पहले बता दो the sum of a and b is, so this would be kind of a more appropriate way to do it. Just add them here. Okay, let's see. Now the compiler is going to ask you for two values. Insert a value in a. Oh, I inserted 10. Insert a value in b, 20. Enter. The sum of a and b is 30. Okay. So what have you made? You just made a calculator that can only add numbers, and that can only add two numbers together. Now with the passage of time, आपको आप इस पे ज्यादा बेहतर तरीके से समझते जाएंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं कि लेट्स से यू डिक्लेयर अनदर वेरिएबल c here, and what you do here is that you say c is equal to a plus b semicolon, and then rather than displaying this here, you just display c here. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि you store the sum of those two variables. Now plus here is used as a, जिस तरह हमारा arithmetic operator plus होता है यहाँ पे. So here, what you are going to do is you are going to add them and put that value in C and then display C. It's the same thing. Okay, C 10, 20. Sum of A and B is 30. So you won't know at the output catcha hua ke. Here you have made changes. What you have done is that you have put that value in C and then displayed C, but it's the same thing. Okay. The problem इसमें फायदा क्या है that you are actually saving that value. So for example, if you need that value for further calculations, then you can, for example, you are going to use it मतलब प्रोग्राम में आगे उसको यूज करने की जरूरत है, then you need C. But if you do not need it, just display A plus B. And at the output, what is happening is that it is being added and displayed. Now there is another way as well. For example, you don't want to write two statements. आप चाहते हैं कि यूजर से, you just want to ask the user in one statement, please enter a, ठीक है, like this. For example, you cannot just write four statements. You just want to do this, perform this entire thing in one statement. So you would just write insert a value in A, okay, and B. Okay. Now remove this thing. You ask the user to enter two values, but you are going to tell the compiler, okay, the first value should go in A and the second value should go in B. So, but both of them should have these operators. Now, you will see that the same thing happens, but you are going to enter two values. Insert a value in A and B. So first you will, let's say, enter 10, enter दबाएंगे आप, अब वो दूसरा मांग रहे हैं, ठीक है, अब 20 दबाएंगे, फिर enter, the sum of A and B is 30. Okay, so this is also another way. For example, let's say we are writing a program जिसमें हमें 10 values चाहिए, then writing 10 cout statements would be very tiresome. So just write A, B, C, D in the same line and we can easily do that. So I will not go any further. Inshallah, we will go further when you study about variables in your theory class. Okay, so that was it for today. Any questions?
Excuse